It is quiet as I sift through the remains of the dump. One might question how I ended up at this point. To that I say, I woke in the void with thoughts and ideas of inventions from skibidi toilet already in my head. Am I skipping over the finer details? Yes. Did they matter? No, not really. All you need to know is I've decided to help because I can make things. Moving on to my current activity, I'm looking for drones, specifically one that's still functioning, because I kinda need a guinea pig for my experiments. Help. It was a small cry, small enough that I almost missed it over the sound of digging in the trash. I quickly moved to where I heard the sound and saw a drone half buried under other bodies of drones, trying to crawl out, though she seemed to have stopped upon spotting me. Oh, thank goodness. Please get me out from underneath here, she asked, letting out a sigh of relief. I took another look at the pile of bodies, knelt down, and started dragging her out. It took a few good pulls, but she eventually came free from the pile. She smiled at me and tried to stand up quickly, only to let out a hiss and look down. Her left leg had been impaled by scrap. I let out a small smile because, once again, someone in need of help was exactly what I was looking for. I turned around, rubbed my hands together, then turned back to screech. She had attempted to stab me with the very scrap that was in her leg. She took a moment to stare at the broken piece, then looked at my deadpan face, dropped the scrap, and tried to quickly limp away. I quickly pulled her back by her arms and held her close. Now why on earth would you do that? My question was met with her struggling to escape my grasp. I sighed. In the vain hope you have a lick of sense, I need your help with something. No way. Instant rejection. No way I'd join a scavenger like you. You think you're the first to want to drain me of my oil. Her statement confused me for a second before I realized there might be others doing some morally wrong things to survive. I looked at the drone, who was currently punching me in the face, not that it was doing much, and focused, letting the blue light come out of my visor. The drone stopped and went stiff. Stop. I cut off the hypnosis beam and waited a moment as the other drone stared at me with hollow eyes. Good. Now that I have your attention, I'm not a scavenger, as you put it. She nodded. I am someone aspiring to save the universe, and I just so happen to need some help. She nodded once again. I leaned a bit closer with narrowed eyes. She leaned back as much as she physically could in her position. Good, she's paying attention. I backed off, then asked the question, will you help? There was a long silence where we just stared at each other before the drone broke it. Sure. For that to be her answer, she sounded really unsure, but I took it as confirmation. Black smoke surrounded us. Good, I stated. Cherry the worker drone. I thought he was insane, was the first thing that crossed my mind as the smoke surrounding us started to disappear, revealing a completely different place, a lab of some sort. Where are we? I questioned, at the same time I realized he had me in a bridal carry. Meaning if I managed to escape his arms, I'd have to scramble off the floor. How would I even get out of his arms in the first place? We're in my base, was his response to my question, which is located in the void. I stared at him as we walked through some doors. He placed me on a table and turned around to mess with a computer. I sat up and stared at his back for a long moment, then down at my leg, and grimaced as I saw oil slowly leaking out of it. It wasn't supposed to go like this, I thought to myself. He was supposed to be delusional, and I'd play along long enough to patch myself up and escape. I put my hands on my head. I didn't think he was serious. Wait, does that mean something is actually threatening the universe? Single quote. I looked up to find. Holy shit, I cursed. The purple-haired drone had tentacles coming from his back. He looked over his shoulder to give me a confused look, then noticed me staring at his tentacles and chuckled. If all goes according to plan, then you will get some of these too. I gave him a strange look as he went back to messing with the computer, mumbling something while taking a sip from a mug he got from somewhere, which he probably shouldn't be drinking. But with all the weird shit going on, it's best to keep my mouth shut. So I don't get to choose. That puts a lot of problems in my plans, he stated, staring at the computer screen for a long moment before he turned around to fully face me. He picked me up once more with his tentacles, then paused. Oh, forgot about that, he said, using another tentacle to grab a bandage from a drawer and wrap it around my leg rather quickly. Then he started carrying me somewhere. After some time walking, we entered a room with 8 large doors, each one a different color. The purple-haired drone put me on the ground in the middle of the room, making me give him a confused look, which he responded to with, "You know what to do. Choose." Which made me openly scowl at him. What the fuck does that even mean? I questioned in my head angrily. Maybe dying under that pile of bodies would have been better than getting dragged along by. I can't stand this indecision tilde. I twisted my head around at the sound of music, looking at each of the doors as more lyrics played. Married with a lack of vision tilde. There, from the red door with speaker symbols. I started moving toward it in an attempt to hear the lyrics better. Suddenly the door opened and I was met with a red light and music. Everybody wants to rule the world. Say that you'll never, 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 never need it. One headline, why believe it? Everybody wants to rule the world. All for freedom and for pleasure. Nothing ever lasts forever. Everybody wants to rule the world tilde.